Welcome back if you've been to my channel before. Today we are going to be talking about my top books from 2023. All of my favorite books, one from each month. I'm really excited to share this with you guys because I've really been wanting to bring more book content to this channel. It's kind of cold, I need a sweater. I've really been wanting to bring more book content over to this channel, and my cat wants to be involved in this apparently. This seemed like the perfect opportunity to do this because I really wanted to talk about all the books I love this year. This was a really great reading year for me. It is currently Wednesday, December 20th, and as I'm filming this, I have read 180 books in 2023, which is a lot. Keep in mind, a lot of those are rereads, but still, that is like the most books I've ever read in a year, like literally crazy to me. And I'm just really proud of myself. So yeah, I wanted to talk about my favorite book from each month, so let's get into it. I've also got my drink, of course. I always go for the venti hot chai during the season, and then during the summer I always go for a venti iced chai, which you would know if you've watched my videos before. But yeah, let's just jump into it because I'm so excited to start this. There's been a lot of books from this year. I also got a Kindle in the summer, so I've read a ton of books on my Kindle, a ton of rereading. There's just been a lot that I've done. But let's start off with January. January was a pretty good reading month for me. But my favorite book that I read in January was Archer's Voice by Mira Sheridan. This book is talked about a lot on Book Talk. If you didn't know, I have a Book Talk and I post a lot on there, so I know a lot about like the Book Talk popular hyped up books, and everyone was saying to read Archer's Voice. Basically, this girl moves to like a small town to just get away for a little bit, and she meets this guy named Archer, and he's kind of like the outcast of the town. Archer cannot speak, so no one tries to speak to him. They don't try to learn sign language. His family has basically shut him out. He tries to communicate with him, and they end up falling in love. And let me just say, not only is this one of the best books I've read this year, this is like one of the best romance books that I've read. It's just something different, and I'm not a big small town romance person normally, but this book is just, it's different, and it's perfect, and it's really good. And I also read Travis, which is about his stepbrother, which actually redeemed him, so that book was really good as well. In February, I had a really big reading slump, and I thought that this year was just going to go to waste. But in March, it picked back up, and I did not have a slump for any other month from this year, so I'm really excited and happy about that. In March, this was my favorite book. It's called Never Never. It's by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher. And listen, I know how y'all feel about Colleen Hoover. I know. But she is a really good author for getting into reading, and I've read basically all of her books, literally all of her books. I have them all on my bookshelf. I hadn't read this one, so I wanted to read it, especially because I've never read like a book that she has co-written with somebody. This girl and her boyfriend wake up and they cannot remember each other at all. Like, their memories are basically erased. And then as they try to figure it out, their memories get erased again. So like every time their memories get erased, they have to like write down notes for each other and like try to remember what's happening. But I just found it really interesting. Like, I think it was something very different from what Colleen normally writes. So then, end of this book, there's a little snippet from one of Taryn Fisher's books. It's called The Wives. And I read it and I was like, I need to read the rest of this book. Like, I need to know, like, I was very, very intrigued. So that moves us on to April. Needless to say, I went to Barnes & Noble and bought the book because just based off of like the 2 chapters that were in the end of Never Never, I needed to read it. And I'd never read anything else just by Taryn Fisher before, but I really enjoyed the book. Will say that the ending of the book wasn't the best, and exactly how I was hoping or wanting it to end. Like, the plot twist just really wasn't it for me. But I will say that the plot of this book was really, really interesting, and it was like a fast read. Like, I just did not want to sit it down, and I made my mom read it as well because I always make my mom read the books that I love. So yeah, I would recommend if you liked like a little thriller kind of a vibe. But basically, the plot of this book is that this man has 3 different wives, and it is in the perspective of one of the wives, and she doesn't know the other wives. She only has her days with her husband. She knows that he has them, but she doesn't know who they are, where they live, nothing like that. But one day, she finds a scrap of paper in his pocket about one of his wives, and she just goes off the deep end and starts like stalking her to try and find out her life and like see if it's better than what she has, and like it's just crazy. It is a crazy book. So I would definitely recommend this book as well. It was just a little bit something different. Like, it stood out to me from the year. Alright, in May, I decided to reread the entire Bridgerton series because I fucking love the Bridgerton series, you guys. Like, if you guys don't already know this, season 3 of Bridgerton is coming soon, and it's Penelope and Colin's love story, and I love their book so much. I am just so excited. But the one I wanted to highlight is the most underrated book of the series, which is When He Was Wicked. And this is Francesca's story. And a lot of people don't know about Francesca because she's like in boarding school in the first couple seasons of Bridgerton, so she's not shown as much. But in the books, she's in there a lot. And this book is just the most... It's a dirty book, guys. It's a dirty book. It's a really dirty book. Her husband dies, and then she falls in love with his best friend, like, after he's already passed away. Which I know sounds awful, but guys... It's just, I can't say any more about this book other than you need to read it, and you need to read the whole series because the Bridgerton books are so good. Okay, moving on to probably my favorite book of the entire year. If you guys didn't already know, I am obsessed with the Addicted to You series. I've talked about it in some of my other videos, but I read this entire series this year, throughout the year, and explain this book. It's about Lily Calloway and Lauren Hale. Lily Calloway is a sex addict, which is something I've never seen in books before. And Lauren Hale is addicted to alcohol, and they are best friends, and they are fake dating. They are in a fake relationship so that they are able to hide their addictions from their family, but then they fall in love with each other, and guys, this first book is good, but it is nothing compared to the other 9 books in the series, and I just can't. Like, the entire series is so amazing. In June, I read my favorite book from the entire series, which is, I believe it's book number 5. It's called Hot House Flower. Just looking at this book makes me want to tear up because I love it so much. Like, guys, it's about Lily's younger sister, Daisy Calloway, and the reason I love this book so much is because I relate to Daisy on so many ways. Some of the issues that she works through in this book, with her mental health, but also just like her wanting to be someone that she feels like she can't be, and just like everything about her I love. I love Daisy, and I love her love interest. I just think that everything about this book is so perfect, so beautiful. The love story, so perfect, and the way that their love story is showed in the other books before and then after, and like all of their lives are like intertwined. Guys, like, it is just so fucking good. Like, I need you to read this book, but I can't like it as much as I can. Like, I know it's probably my favorite book of all time now. I don't even know what to say about this book other than it is the most amazing thing that I've ever read. Also, I wanted to note that just as of like last week, all of the Addicted to You series, all 10 books and the books about their kids, are all on Kindle Unlimited. So you can just go read these to your heart's desire. They are nice long books. They're all on Kindle Unlimited, so go read them. Just go read them. That's all I have to say. And comment down below what you think. In July, I read a lot of books. I did a lot of rereading. I reread all of the Throne of Glass series, and I had only read the first 3 books, so I read the entire thing. And let me just tell you, it was so good. And I'm not normally a big fantasy person, but that series like really got me into fantasy. But everyone was telling me, Ayla, if you don't like fantasy, then why did you read Throne of Glass and not read ACOTAR? Because I know, everyone was talking about ACOTAR, but I just didn't want to be basic. But I read ACOTAR. Guys, it's worth the hype. Like, that's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. This book, but specifically this book. This is the second book in the series. All of them are so good. There's 5 books. I read them all, like, extremely quickly, one after another, and they are just, I don't like fantasy, but this is like peak fantasy. Like, all of them are peak fantasy, and especially this book and also the 5th book, which I know a lot of people hate on Nesta, but the character development in that book is just like the best character development I've ever read. These are another reread that I definitely will want to be rereading in 2024 and tabbing and annotating and like all of that, because I just cannot get these books out of my head. Really one of the best book series, so how can you not like it? Like, it's hyped up for a reason, that's all I have to say. We are going to enter the most embarrassing period of this video, because in August, in fact from August all the way to like November, I kind of went off the deep end. Let's open up my Kindle while I don't read. If you recognize this, I saw this TikTok video about someone talking about this thing called Ice Planet Barbarians, and apparently it's like a 25 book long series, and I was like, well, why don't I just try the first one, just as a joke, right? Yeah, so I actually read the entire series and then also the entire spin-off series, which is like 45 books, guys. 45 books. I read all of them. And Ice Planet Barbarians is just a different breed say this is like, I ate this shit up. Like, I literally like reading a book a day, a fucking day. Like, while I was doing my homework, then I would read a chapter, do some homework, read a chapter, like in the library, like in bed, at the doctor's office, like at work on my break, like wherever I was reading these books. And let me just tell you guys, nothing will ever compare. Basically, the plot of Ice Planet Barbarians is this human woman named Georgie wakes up and she's on an alien spaceship and she's been kidnapped by aliens. But the aliens that kidnapped her accidentally crash landed on a planet that they weren't supposed to be taking them to. So she's basically abandoned with these 12 other girls and they have to figure out a way off the ship. But then they learn that there are different aliens, not the ones that kidnapped her, on the planet. And on this planet there's this thing called resonance. You have to have a parasite inside of you to help you survive because it's so fucking cold. It's like an ice planet. And resonance is basically when the parasite chooses a mate for you. Yeah. So Georgie ends up mating to the tribe, the chief of the tribe, and I'm just gonna tell you guys, these are the smuttiest books I've ever read in my fucking life. Like, you know what, if you want to read these books, go ahead, read them. I try to make my friends read them and they call me crazy, but you have to have a specific taste to like it, so just try it out if you want to. September, I read the 8th book in the Addicted to You series, Addicted After All, and this is a hefty book, guys. So beautiful. I just thought that Lily and Lo's story is so fucking amazing. I mean, like, this is the change from them being kids and struggling from their addictions to like starting their own families and like dealing with that and like being adults, and just so good, guys. Like, again, read the whole series, it's all on Kindle Unlimited. In October, I decided to read Final Offer. It's the 3rd book in the Dreamland Billionaires series. I've heard really good things about this book, and my best friends told me that Cal would be my man, and let me tell you, Cal is my man. This book, so good. So good. Forced proximity, exes to lovers, like you've got every fucking trope, like single mom, like you've literally got every trope in this book, and it is just all that and more. I will say it's very hefty, but it's worth it. And the banter in that book, I just loved it. I ate that shit up. In November was one of my favorite books from the year, I'm not gonna lie. I put this book off for so long. I put it off for so long. See, because I love Taylor Jenkins Reid so much. She's my favorite author, but this book is written like it's written like their name and then what they're saying, kind of like a manuscript, and I just didn't really know how to feel about that. Like, I didn't know how I was going to get through that. Let me just tell you, I ate this up, read it in a day, and then I watched the entire TV series, and I made my boyfriend watch it with me. We loved it. Like, I listen to the music like every day. Like, this is just like, I love it. Special place in my heart. Always, definitely recommend. Taylor Jenkins Reid never fails to surprise me. Like, guys, it makes me want to cry. I love it so much. Like, just everything about this book is so incredible. Like, the fact that this is fictional just doesn't make sense to me. Like, it genuinely doesn't make sense in my head. No surprise here with the last book of this year. Last book. I can't even say the words because I'm just like depressed at this point. I do not have the physical copy because it has not been released yet, but the book is Some Kind of Perfect. Again, it's from the Addicted Calloway Sisters series that has the 10 books. This is the 10th book, and I just read this like last week. And guys, why do I want to cry like this entire video? Because I just get so connected to the characters. But this book is like an epilogue novel. So basically every chapter is like a different month, and it goes through like 10 years, basically showing their lives and like growing old together and like raising their children and just like these little mementos of like their lives. And it says on the cover here, never say goodbye. And this book just made me cry so hard, guys. Like, actually, like, I'm gonna cry right now just thinking about it. But it is just such an incredible series. Like, everything about it is just, I feel so connected to it, and this is a series that will probably be my favorite series forever. Like, so incredible. But this entire year I have read so many good books and reread so many good books. I've reread Harry Potter with my best friends and like been able to reconnect to that series even though I've read it so many times, and read all of Throne of Glass and ACOTAR, and just like so many incredible series. And also the Crave series, like if you've heard me talk about that before. Cherish just came out in January or the end of last December, and it was just so good. Like, the entire series is so amazing. So it's very hard to choose the books that I value the most from this year because, like I said, I read 180 books. Like, how do I fucking choose, you know? I don't how to like explain this in a way that makes sense to you guys, but like these books get me through my life, like mentally, and I know that every reader will tell you this, but reading has saved my life. Like it literally helps me escape from the rest of my world. It helps me relate. It helps me grow stronger. It helps me just become a better person overall, just because like connecting to these characters and like, alright, I'm done with the rant. But I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys had a good reading year as well. So make sure to comment down below your favorite book from this year, and let me know what you think if you read any of these books that I read. Also comment a book emoji if you stayed until the end.